1970, FBI headquarters. Washington, D.C. agents stare at a board covered with names, photos, connections. At the center is one man, Meyer Lansky, not the biggest, not the most violent, not the most famous, but the most dangerous. The FBI estimates he controls $300 million. That's over $2 billion today. He's never spent a day in prison for a serious crime. He's never been caught with drugs, weapons, or stolen goods. He operates completely in the shadows while flashy gangsters grab headlines. Meyer Lansky is 5'4", weighs 130 pounds and looks like an accountant. Because that's exactly what he is. An accountant who happened to build the financial infrastructure of organized crime in America. Before Lansky, criminals were thugs who spent money as fast as they made it. After Lansky, organized crime became international banking, offshore accounts, money laundering, corporate structures that still exist today. He didn't carry a gun. He carried a calculator. He didn't threaten people. He made them rich. He didn't build an empire through violence. He built it through numbers. But here's the real question. How did a Jewish immigrant who stood barely over 5 feet tall become more powerful than mob bosses twice his size? How did he invent money laundering and offshore banking that criminals and billionaires still use today? How did he prove that the real power isn't violence, it's understanding where the money flows? This is that story. July 4th, 1902. Grodno, Russian Empire, now Belarus. Meyer Lansky is born into a Jewish family living in constant fear. Pogroms, violent attacks on Jewish communities, are regular occurrences. His family sees neighbors murdered for being Jewish. The Lansky family flees to America. 9-year-old Meyer arrives in New York, settles on the Lower East Side, changes his name to Meyer Lansky. He's tiny, physically weak, but his mind is extraordinary. Meyer is a mathematical genius. He calculates odds instantly in his head. He sees patterns others miss. He understands percentages, probabilities, and most importantly, he understands that information is power. Around age 10, Meyer meets another kid on the streets, Charles Luciano, who'll become Lucky Luciano. They're an odd pair, Jewish and Italian, two groups that don't typically mix, but they recognize something in each other, ambition and intelligence. Meyer also befriends Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, a violent, charismatic Jewish kid. Bugsy provides muscle. Meyer provides brains. Lucky provides connections. Together, they start building. Here's what makes Meyer different from every other criminal on the streets. He thinks long-term. Most criminals grab quick cash and spend it immediately. Meyer saves, invests, plans decades ahead. When Prohibition starts in 1920, creating massive illegal alcohol demand, Meyer doesn't just bootleg. He analyzes the entire supply chain: importing, distribution, retail, protection. He calculates profit margins at every level. He identifies inefficiencies and fixes them. Meyer turns bootlegging into a business with inventory management, supply chain optimization, quality control. He's applying business school principles to crime before business schools exist. But Meyer's real genius emerges in how he handles money. Most gangsters keep cash hidden or spend it on cars, clothes, women. Meyer invests. He buys legitimate businesses, laundries, restaurants, nightclubs. He uses them to wash dirty money into clean income. Meyer invents money laundering. The term doesn't exist yet, but the practice does. He creates systems where illegal profits go into legitimate businesses, come out as legal income, pay taxes, enough to avoid suspicion, and accumulate as clean wealth. This is revolutionary. Before Meyer, criminals were always vulnerable. Police could seize their cash, freeze their assets. Meyer's system makes that nearly impossible because his wealth is integrated into the legitimate economy. 1930s. Meyer starts working with Lucky Luciano to restructure organized crime. Lucky handles the violence and politics. Meyer handles the finances. Together, they create the Commission, the governing body that will rule American organized crime for decades. Meyer becomes the Commission's accountant, banker, and financial advisor. Every major operation, every territory deal, every peace negotiation, Meyer is involved because he controls the money. Here's Meyer's philosophy. We're bigger than U.S. Steel. He's not joking. By the late 1930s, organized crime is generating more revenue than many Fortune 500 companies. Meyer runs it like a corporation. He creates a national crime syndicate with standardized practices, shared resources, and mutual protection. He establishes a mob bank where criminals can deposit money safely and borrow for operations. He charges interest like any bank. Meyer pioneers offshore banking. He opens accounts in Switzerland decades before it becomes standard practice for tax evasion. He establishes shell companies in multiple countries. He creates layered corporate structures that make tracking money nearly impossible. The FBI knows Meyer is doing this but can't prove it. He's too careful. He never writes anything down. He never meets in places that can be bugged. He conducts business in public places with ambient noise making recording impossible. Meyer also understands a crucial principle. Violence is bad for business. Every murder attracts police attention. Every gang war disrupts operations. Meyer constantly advocates for negotiation over violence. When disputes arise, Meyer doesn't send killers. He sends accountants with spreadsheets showing how much money everyone is losing through warfare. Numbers are more persuasive than threats. This approach makes Meyer invaluable to everyone. Italian mobsters need him to manage their money. Jewish gangsters need him for connections. Irish criminals need his financial expertise. He becomes indispensable by making everyone richer. 1940s. Meyer expands beyond traditional crime. He sees an opportunity everyone else misses. Gambling. Gambling is illegal in most of America, but people gamble anyway. The demand is massive and constant. Meyer realizes that legal gambling in specific locations could generate enormous legitimate profits. He looks at Cuba. The island is 90 miles from Florida, beautiful, tropical, and run by dictator Fulgencio Batista, who's willing to make deals. Meyer approaches Batista with a proposal. Let us build casinos in Havana. We'll bring American tourists, generate tax revenue, create jobs. Batista gets his cut. We operate legally. Batista agrees. Meyer and his partners build luxurious casinos in Havana. They're not the dirty backroom operations common in America. These are elegant establishments rivaling Monte Carlo. Meyer brings in entertainment. Frank Sinatra performs. Movie stars vacation there. Americans fly to Havana for legal gambling. It's a gold mine. But Meyer is thinking bigger. He sees another opportunity. Las Vegas. Las Vegas in the 1940s is a desert town with a few small casinos. Bugsy Siegel, Meyer's childhood friend, wants to build something unprecedented. A luxurious resort casino called the Flamingo. Bugsy is charismatic but terrible with money. He goes wildly over budget building the Flamingo. Meyer, as the money manager, watches millions disappear into construction costs. When the Flamingo opens in 1946, it's a disaster. Not enough rooms are finished. The casino loses money. Bugsy keeps asking for more investment. The mob bosses who invested in the Flamingo want their money back. They look to Meyer, who's managing the finances. Meyer realizes Bugsy has either stolen money or wasted it through incompetence. June 20th, 1947. Bugsy Siegel is shot dead in Beverly Hills. Multiple bullets through the window while he's reading a newspaper. The hit is almost certainly ordered by the same bosses who invested in the Flamingo. Meyer's exact role is debated. Some say he ordered it. Others say he couldn't stop it. What's certain, Meyer takes over the Flamingo's finances, reorganizes the operation, and turns it profitable. The Flamingo's eventual success proves Meyer's vision. Las Vegas can be a legitimate gambling destination generating massive legal profits. Over the next decades, Vegas transforms into exactly what Meyer imagined. Meyer also pioneers casino skimming, the practice of taking cash from casino counting rooms before it's reported as revenue, avoiding taxes. Millions of dollars are skimmed from Vegas casinos and distributed to mob bosses. This requires sophisticated accounting. Meyer creates systems where legitimate revenue is reported and taxed, but additional cash is secretly extracted and laundered through other businesses. The IRS suspects this is happening but can't prove it. Meyer's systems are too complex, too layered, too careful. 1950s. The Kefauver hearings investigate organized crime. Senators call mob bosses to testify on television. America watches in fascination as criminals take the Fifth Amendment hundreds of times. Meyer is called to testify. Unlike flashy mobsters who try to act tough, Meyer is quiet, polite, almost boring. He answers some questions, claims not to remember others, takes the fifth occasionally, but not excessively. The senators try to trap him. They ask about his wealth, his connections, his activities. Meyer deflects every question smoothly. He admits to nothing illegal, but doesn't seem evasive. He comes across as a small businessman, not a crime boss. The hearings make other mobsters into celebrities. Frank Costello with his nervous hands. Vito Genovese, defiant and threatening. But Meyer remains invisible, exactly as he wants. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Meyer expands his financial empire. He has accounts in Switzerland, Bahamas, Cayman Islands. He owns pieces of casinos in Vegas, Havana, London, Monte Carlo. He invests in legitimate businesses, hotels, restaurants, real estate. His wealth is impossible to calculate because it's hidden across dozens of countries and hundreds of corporations. The FBI estimates $300 million, but that's probably conservative. Meyer's philosophy is working. Crime is temporary, but smart money is forever. While other gangsters go to prison or get killed, Meyer stays free and rich. Everything changes when Fidel Castro overthrows Batista in Cuba. Castro nationalizes all casinos. Meyer loses his Cuban empire overnight. Millions in assets seized. But Meyer, always thinking ahead, has already been diversifying. He increases investments in Vegas, opens operations in the Bahamas, expands into Europe. The Cuban loss hurts but doesn't destroy him. Meyer is 68 years old. The FBI has been investigating him for 40 years without a major conviction. They decide on a new approach: tax evasion. It worked on Al Capone. Maybe it'll work on Lansky. But Meyer is too smart. His tax returns are meticulously filed. He reports enough income to avoid suspicion, but not enough to reveal his true wealth. His lawyers are brilliant. The case is weak. Meyer also decides it's time to retire. He's old, tired, and America is becoming too dangerous for old mobsters. RICO laws are coming that will make prosecuting organized crime easier. Meyer tries to move to Israel under their law of return, which allows any Jew to become an Israeli citizen. He thinks Israel will be a safe retirement haven, but the U.S. government pressures Israel. Meyer Lansky, organized crime's financial genius, can't be allowed to escape. Israel, reluctantly, denies his citizenship application. Meyer returns to Miami living quietly. The FBI watches him constantly but can't build a case. He dies on January 15, 1983, at age 80, having spent minimal time in prison for a man of his criminal stature. Meyer Lansky died in 1983, but the financial systems he created are more powerful than ever. What he invented for organized crime, billionaires and corporations now use legally. First and most importantly, Meyer invented modern money laundering. The entire global infrastructure of washing dirty money through legitimate businesses, shell companies, and international banks, Meyer pioneered all of it. Today, the United Nations estimates 2.5% of global GDP, roughly $2 trillion annually, is laundered money. Drug cartels, corrupt politicians, terrorists, they all use systems Meyer created. Anti-money laundering laws, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC regulations exist specifically to fight techniques Meyer developed. Every time you open a bank account and need excessive documentation, that's because of Meyer Lansky. Second, Meyer pioneered offshore banking and tax havens, Swiss bank accounts, Cayman Island corporations, Bahamian shell companies. Meyer used all of these decades before they became standard practice for the wealthy. Today, an estimated $32 trillion is hidden in offshore tax havens. That's not all criminal money. Much of it belongs to corporations and billionaires using legal tax avoidance strategies. But the infrastructure, the methods, the jurisdictional arbitrage, Meyer figured it out first for criminal purposes. The wealthy just adopted his playbook legally. Third, Meyer proved that financial crime is more profitable and safer than violent crime. He showed that understanding money flows, creating complex corporate structures, and corrupting financial systems generates more wealth with less risk than robberies or drug dealing. Modern white-collar, crime, cybercrime, financial fraud, all follow Meyer's principle. Steal with spreadsheets, not guns. The biggest heists today are committed by people in suits manipulating numbers, not masked men with weapons. Fourth, Meyer influenced how Las Vegas developed. His vision of legal gambling as entertainment industry, not backroom vice, transformed Vegas into a global destination generating $60 billion annually. Every casino resort, every gambling hub worldwide follows the model Meyer helped establish. Make gambling luxurious, legal where possible, and integrated with legitimate entertainment. Fifth, Meyer changed organized crime itself. Before Meyer, mob bosses were local toughs running their neighborhoods. After Meyer, organized crime became transnational corporations with offshore accounts, international operations, and sophisticated financial management. Modern drug cartels operate exactly like Meyer taught. Legitimate business fronts, international banking, political corruption, corporate structures. Pablo Escobar, El Chapo, they're students of Meyer's methods whether they know it or not. Sixth, Meyer influenced law enforcement strategy. The difficulty of prosecuting him led to new laws, RICO statutes, financial tracking requirements, international cooperation agreements all developed to fight what Meyer created. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, on FINCN, international anti-money laundering treaties, banking transparency requirements, all exist because Meyer proved financial crime could be nearly unprosecutable without new tools. Seventh, Meyer demonstrated the power of being indispensable. He wasn't the strongest or most feared, but everyone needed him. He made himself valuable through expertise, not intimidation. This is a lesson beyond crime. Specialized knowledge creates power. Meyer's mathematical genius and financial understanding made him more powerful than men who could kill him easily. Eighth, Meyer influenced popular culture's portrayal of criminal masterminds. Before Meyer, gangsters in fiction were violent thugs. After Meyer, we have sophisticated criminal geniuses, calculating, quiet, dangerous through intelligence, not strength. Characters like Kaiser Soze in The Usual Suspects, Gus Fring in Breaking Bad, every criminal mastermind who operates through intelligence and financial control. That's Meyer's archetype. The 1999 film Lansky starring Richard Dreyfuss, the 2021 film Lansky with Harvey Keitel, multiple books and documentaries, all exploring Meyer's legend as the thinking man's gangster. The Godfather Part 2 features Hyman Roth, a character directly based on Meyer. The quiet, intelligent Jewish gangster who everybody trusts with their money. Even fictional portrayal recognizes Meyer's uniqueness. Ninth, Meyer's story reveals uncomfortable truths about capitalism and crime. His methods, used criminally, aren't that different from aggressive tax avoidance, corporate shell games, and financial engineering that's technically legal. Meyer showed that the line between crime and business is often just paperwork. Skim from casinos illegally, it's crime. Structure deductions to minimize taxes, it's smart business. The tactics are similar. Legality is the only difference. This moral ambiguity influences how we think about white-collar crime, corporate malfeasance, tax evasion. Are billionaires hiding money offshore that different from Meyer's operations? The question is uncomfortable because the answer isn't clear. 10th, Meyer proved that you don't need violence to have power in criminal world. This is revolutionary. The mafia culture glorifies tough guys, killers, enforcers. Meyer showed that the accountant is more powerful than the hitman. Every criminal organization learned this lesson. Financial expertise is crucial. Now cartels hire economists and accountants. They have CFOs like legitimate companies. Meyer pioneered that professionalization. Meyer's personal life also contradicts stereotypes. He was a dedicated family man, married for decades, supported his disabled son devotedly. He was quiet, polite, well-read. He didn't fit the gangster image at all. This cognitive dissonance, the gentle accountant who built a criminal empire, makes Meyer fascinating. He proves that evil doesn't always look like movies portray it. Meyer's greatest achievement might be this. He died free, old, and relatively wealthy despite 40-plus years of FBI investigation. Almost everyone he worked with died violently or in prison, Meyer died in bed. That survival, that ability to navigate decades in the most dangerous business imaginable and retire peacefully, demonstrates his genius more than any specific scheme. So how did Meyer Lansky change the world? He invented modern money laundering, creating techniques for washing illegal money through legitimate businesses that criminals worldwide still use. He pioneered offshore banking and tax havens, developing methods that now hide trillions of dollars for criminals, corporations, and billionaires. He transformed organized crime from violent street gangs into sophisticated financial enterprises operating like multinational corporations. He proved that financial crime is more profitable and safer than violent crime, shifting criminal focus toward white-collar methods. He influenced how Las Vegas developed and how legal gambling operates globally. He forced law enforcement to develop entirely new strategies: RICO laws, financial tracking, international cooperation agreements. He showed that specialized knowledge creates more power than physical strength, that the accountant can be more dangerous than the hitman. Most importantly, Meyer revealed uncomfortable truths about the thin line between aggressive capitalism and criminality. His methods, minus legal registration, aren't that different from what corporations and billionaires do legally. Meyer Lansky was 5'4", tall and looked like an accountant. Because he was an accountant, just one who built the financial infrastructure of organized crime and changed how criminals, corporations, and governments think about money forever. He died free while everyone around him died violently. That's the ultimate proof. In crime as in business, the person who controls the money controls everything.